In order to truly understand responsive design in Autograph, we have to understand a little bit about the technical stuff, about the calculations going on beneath the surface. So how exactly does Autograph take something like an HD composition and then translate it to vertical HD or 4K or square or 4:3 or any of these formats? In order to fully take advantage of this system, we have to be able to have some degree of predictability with how Autograph handles conversions between formats. And actually, there are two main things going on here. Autograph, number one, has to figure out how to translate the frame from the source to the destination. And number two, Autograph has to figure out how to translate individual properties from the source to the destination. So for example, like glows, blurs, scale, size properties, that kind of thing. So that's what we're going to look at in this tutorial, the technical details on how Autograph is doing both of these functions. Now let's start with something easy. If the aspect ratio of the original composition, aka the source format, is the same as the one we're changing to, aka the destination format, then we don't even need to worry about the entire frame. We could just worry about the properties. To figure that out, we need to find out something called the multiplier factor. When the aspect ratios of both formats are the same, we get the multiplier factor by dividing the destination height by the original height. So if we had an HD comp that we were scaling up to UHD 4K, we would divide the destination height, which is 2160, by the original height, which is 1080 in this case, and that would give us a multiplier factor of 2. So then when we change the format from HD to UHD, Autograph goes through and multiplies all the relevant properties, all the blurs, glows, size properties, everything in 2D and 3D and everything by 2. Pretty easy, right? And also, just pretty impressive while we're at it, just to realize that as we are going from, HD to 4K, it's just that quick where we're just rolling over. In this case, a project isn't that advanced, but still, like I have an HD comp, and as I'm rolling over, it's making these calculations and multiplying all of these properties throughout the entire project by that multiplier factor. I think this is a phenomenal showcase of just how powerful Autograph is, that you can roll over your mouse and it makes all of these very advanced complications under the hood to all the properties within this composition so quickly as I'm just rolling my mouse over. It's quite astounding. Anyways, that example was pretty easy, converting from just HD to UHD. But it does get a little bit more complicated if we need to translate something to a different aspect ratio. Let's say, for example, from horizontal to vertical. Now, if the aspect ratios are different, we first need to figure out something called the ARF, the aspect ratio factor. This is a number that we get to by dividing the pixel width by the pixel height. So 1920 divided by 1080 is 1.77. So 1.77 is the ARF for standard HD. 1080 divided by 1920 is 0.56, which is the ARF for vertical HD. So the final bit of math here is that Autograph is going to look at the ARF for the source format and the destination format. If the source ARF is bigger than the destination ARF, then it fits the height. If the source ARF is smaller than the destination ARF, then it fits the width. In the case of going from HD to vertical HD, the source ARF is 1.77 and the destination ARF is only 0.56. The source ARF is bigger, so Autograph will apply this formula and fit the original comp to the height of the destination comp. So my 1.77 ARF HD comp looks like this when we go to vertical HD. It's again scaling up the 1080 height from HD to the 1920 vertical height in vertical HD. And then the rest of the comp gets cropped out by default. Note that when scaling by height, we get the multiplier factor by dividing the destination height by the original source height, as we did before. We divide the destination height, which is 1920 in this case, with the original height of 1080 to get 1.77 again. So when going from HD to vertical HD, the multiplier factor is also 1.77, so all blurs and glows and related size properties will be scaled up by being multiplied by 1.77. And remember that when the source ARF is smaller than the destination ARF, then autograph fits the width of the source to the destination. And in those cases, the multiplier factor is generated by dividing the destination width by the original width. Whew. Okay, so that was a bit more math than I'm usually comfortable with, but it wasn't too bad, right? And armed with this new knowledge, we're ready to jump into the full power of responsive design, looking at more advanced tools in the next tutorials.